Growing calls for the free quality education to be expanded in the ANC. The Congress of the South African Students has reiterated this as part of its submission at the ANC's National Policy Conference. It's also calling for compulsory driving lessons for pupils. For more on this, we are joined by Douglas Ngobeni. He is from Cosas. Douglas, thank you very much for speaking to us. Of course, yesterday we heard some applause as the President delivered his opening address in the plenary when it came to the threshold that the ANC needs to meet of young people at positions of leadership. Were you one of those people, of course, who clapped their hands?
Look, we came to this policy conference of the ANC. It's the 6th policy conference of the African National Congress, inspired by the generation of the ANC Youth League of the 1940s. Because that generation in the 40s, when the ANC was threatened with ceasing to exist, they rose to the occasion to say that we are going to submit to the African National Congress a policy position which is going to see the African National Congress gaining even more relevance on the ground. So as a Congress of South African Students, together with other components of the PYA, we took a sober policy position to say that at least we come to this policy conference not to be fans of ANC leadership. We're not here for a holiday, but at least to submit a policy position which is going to see young people of this country in their majority benefiting. And amongst the many policies which we saw fit that we need to submit as a Congress of South African Students is an age limit, to say that the age limit in government should correlate with that of any other public representative, to say that if the retirement age of any other public servant is 60 or 63, it must be so with politicians, because remember, we are a component of the PYA, and the ANC depends on us when it comes to the ground. When we go to the ground during elections and everything, we are the ones who go to these door-to-doors and what's not. And when we arrive there, our people on the ground always raise a frustration to say that, but the African National Congress is clouded by very old people who do not have our interests. So when the President announced that there's going to be a quota of young people who are going to be given space in the African National Congress and in government, it did not come as a surprise, because we are a generation which, for the first time in a very long time, at least we are here to be a generation which stands for something. And the ANC President, His Excellency Matamela Ramaphosa, at least applauded and appreciated our position as young people.
But this is not the first time that an ANC conference announces that they would actually have more younger people into the party. What would be the difference this time?
Look, the President, in his announcement, says that we are going to give young people this quota, this percentage and everything. And we're not here for that. Ours here is to fight for the policy position which we are presenting, because there are these elements of patrony. When you are in a meeting and you appear to be the naughtiest there, the chairperson will always want to identify himself as your friend, and it now means that you're going to be suppressed from raising your views. But the difference thereof here is that both Cosas, SASCO, the YCL and the ANC Youth League are attending these commissions. We are making these suggestions, we are making these inputs inside commissions. We are not waiting for anyone to do these things on our behalf, but this time around we are doing it on our own, as compared to the President being verbal to say we're going to give you this and that. We are going to these commissions, we are making these inputs. So these inputs are going to be part of the policy positions of the African National Congress, which are of course submitted by ourselves.
Obviously, once the younger leadership takes over the ANC, you'll be inheriting a party that is in big trouble, and you know, a party that is unable, seemingly unable to, for instance, fix things such as state utilities such as ESCOM. I remember you specifically, and that point that you made about if you are seen as the most troublesome one, suddenly the chairperson makes themselves your friend and whatever. You were very vocal during a student meeting with the Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, and at some point you had some sort of public spat, if I could describe it like that, where you were telling him that he's failing in his duties. Well, the President presented a plan to try and save ESCOM, to try and divulge it, or at least give us power. What did you think of that plan? Do you think that it's a plan that the youth, once you take leadership, will be able to take forward?
Well, the plan which the President presented still have the problem which we are fighting against, and the problem remains Pravin and the Raider. Because ESCOM, even today, I can tell you, it is confidently, ESCOM is being deliberately sabotaged so that at the end of the day, it goes to private hands. They want to privatize ESCOM so that our people, more particularly the poor and the vulnerable, go out to beg them. So the presentation by the President did not come as a surprise. He is the President of the Republic who, of course, has to respond to certain challenges which are faced by the people on the ground. But I don't think that the plan in its entirety is going to solve the problems which are faced by our people on the ground, because our argument has always been that the management of ESCOM is the one which is giving us these problems, this crisis we're in. And ESCOM, by the way, being the biggest opposition to the African National Congress currently. Because if you fail to keep lights on, lights as a basic need, electricity as a basic need, it now means that you have deserted your people. So now, the plans by the President, of course, are plans which came from a good heart, to say that our people are suffering on the ground. This is what we are likely to do. But our position as the Congress of South African Students and the National ESCOM Crisis Committee remains that the problem in ESCOM, as Pravin, is the Raider. Because one, the Raider was appointed even when he came from NAMPAC. He was the CEO of NAMPAC. He collapsed the company, but yet he was promoted to the most vital utility, which is ESCOM. So the President does not solve our problem, because Pravin today is still a minister, and we're in a policy conference of the ANC. These are things, by the way, which we are already raising there. We do not speak from the corridors. Yeah. These are things which we are raising. I'm in a commission now, where the President is, where Pravin is, and we you know, we're young people who are not factionally clouded. We don't care what happens with the factions of the ANC. Our prime interest is to see the people of South Africa benefiting from the government which they voted into power. And responding to that other question, to say that we are going to inherit the ANC which is in tatters. You know, I made a practical example when we started this conversation, to say that in the 40s, there were very old people in the ANC. When the ANC was threatened from ceasing to exist, these young people came together to say that, but we are revolutionaries. Let us at least come with a position in which will see the African National Congress being active and vibrant once more. And in 1944, there was a formation of the ANC Youth League. But a few years later, in 1949, this cohort of young revolutionaries went to a conference of the African National Congress. They presented a policy position, and that policy position was adopted by conference. If you remember the Defiance Campaign, because the Defiance Campaign suggested that everywhere where people say the white government or the apartheid government says that we should not go, let us go to that space and be an irritation, so that the ANC is spoken about every day. So that is what we're going to do. We are going to challenge all these people in the ANC who are anti-ANC. There are people within the ANC, by the way, who are anti-African National Congress. But we are very glad and hopeful that under the presidency of Ramaphosa, at least we have been able to find ourselves a bit, because the ANC has went through a lot. The ANC is a...
Find yourselves a bit, what do you mean? As in the ANC?
Yeah.
Find yourselves where?
The ANC is factionally clouded. The ANC always speaks about, in each and every conference or meeting of the ANC, you will hear someone from the ground speaking about unity, unity this, unity that. But the real unity in the ANC is factional unity. There are factions with the ANC, and these people are very united. They are prepared to ponder in resources.
So is that what you mean by the ANC has found itself? It's found itself in factionalism?
We are saying that the ANC must find itself.
Oh,
now,
must.
meaning, yes, must find itself, meaning that it must start identifying itself beyond factions and start servicing the people of South Africa, because that is the prime responsibility and duty of any liberation movement.
Okay, Douglas, I have to let you go, but of course there's other policies, for instance, that said that between 2017 and now they would try and at least uplift about 1,000 youths, take them to political schools, etc., so that you are ready for this elective conference, and I wonder if that has happened. But that was Douglas Ngobeni. He's from Cosas there. Here's to another story coming out of Nasrec. There's